Alright guys, welcome back to Fanfiction Ideas, yeah, so this is basically story ideas that I wanted to write out and I planned out but never really got around to them. I thought I'd talk about them here, and today we're talking about a whole shared alternate universe. Yeah, just let that sink in. It is a fairy tale AU, sporting some Disney characters that may come as a surprise to you, and what roles they've taken, although some of them you could probably guess. So, the main story of this is, in this fairy tale AU, is that there are certain rules. In here, you have huntsmen, and huntsmen in here are a select group of trained warriors that protect the kingdom from what is known as the kingdom, which I didn't really give a name. I just called it the kingdom from the wicked ones, and the wicked ones are basically the villains, like the big villains. There's also like ogres and trolls and other goblins and what have you, and other evil monsters, but the wicked ones are like the big villains, are considered to be like big evils that plague that plague the kingdom. And let's talk about the huntsman as it is. So in this alternate universe, it's all mostly Disney characters. So let's get started with Penn, who in this continuity is Jack the Jack and the Beanstalk / Jack the Giant Killer, who in here had his family killed by Ripon, who was a giant, before going up the beanstalk to kill him. Next we have Red Riding Hood, who is Sashi. Sashi in this continuity lost her family in an attack by a wolf, who came out of revenge after a wolf was believed to have killed her grandmother. So an angry mob came and killed a family who they believed was the culprit, and the last remaining member of that family came back and killed and ate the rest of her family out of revenge. We'll get to a moment of who the big bad wolf is in this story. Following that, we have Hansel and Gretel, who are Dipper and Mabel, who in this continuity, after killing the witch that tried to eat them, Dipper stole the book and learned how to use magic, while Mabel learned to use weapons. Mabel learned to use, arrows and what have you. They're expert witch hunters, essentially, with Dipper actually using magic as the main form. Next we have Zack and Milo from Milo Murphy's Law, who, in this story, they actually have two roles. They actually have different roles. Zack in here is essentially Pinocchio, who, in this story, he is the son of McGucket, who is Geppetto, and a weapons maker. He forges weapons for the huntsman. And he also was given a son, one thing he always wanted. McGucket always wanted a son, so the queen, who is Moon, and we'll get to her in a moment, basically gave Zack life, and made him gave him a son he never had. Zack is also much like Pinocchio, but he has the ability similar to Swamp Thing in that he can actually summon roots and plants to fight with him, to fight for him. While Melissa is she has dual roles. First off, she's very much like Dorothy in that her ruby red slippers that were gifted to her by Moon, she can click her heels and teleport. She's also an expert knife fighter. But there's a problem, is that if you take her slippers off, she'll revert back to her actual form. That's right, she is not only Dorothy, she's also Ariel, the Little Mermaid. She wanted to be on the surface world, and Moon granted her that with her shoes, so long as she helped defend the kingdom as a huntsman. So, there's that. So there's the huntsman. Next, along with the assisting characters, we have Jana, who in this story is the Belle of this universe. She's like the group's scholar. She's the one who figures out, oh, you're fighting this. Well, you're gonna need this, this, and this to fight and kill it. So there's that. So she is Belle. We also have Star, who is Snow White in this story. She is the Snow White of this story, and her mother is believed to be Glenda the Good Witch. And you're probably saying, well, believed to be, she is Glenda the Good. If you're saying she's Glenda, then, yeah. Get to that in a moment, because there's a bit of a knowledge bomb about to be dropped here. So, yeah. We also have Stan in here as the Great Wizard Ozymandias. Let me say that again. The Great Wizard Ozymandias. Yes, he is the great and powerful Oz. And he's believed to be the realm's true protector. Like, he is the most powerful wizard, even though no one really knows it but Moon, is that He's a charlatan. He uses tricks and illusions to scare off any threats to the kingdom. So yeah, he goes by the name Ozymandias as his wizard name. Ford in here is also another character, and we'll get to him in a moment. But let's talk about the Wicked Ones. Who are the Wicked Ones in this story? Now, it's interesting to note that the Wicked Ones aren't really wicked per se. At the start, they were more or less made that way by the kingdom. You see, the Wicked Ones aren't evil; they're rebels. They're a rebellion, more or less, in the Dark Woods, and they are led by Eclipsa, who is in this story believed to be. She is pretty much believed to be like the Wicked Witch of the West. She's pretty much the Wicked Witch of the West, but not really. Again, get to that in a moment. So let's talk about the other character, or the other Wicked Ones. So starting off with the Big Bad Wolf, who is Wendy. Wendy is, yes, she was the one who killed and ate Sashi's family out of revenge for her family dying by an angry mob after it was believed that her father ate Sashi's grandmother, which wasn't true. So Wendy hasn't been exactly the nicest person. Her mother, while her father and her brothers were wolves, her mother was actually a nymph who actually had control over the wind. So she's very much like Big B Wolf from Fables. She's very much like Big B Wolf, where she can actually control air to an extent. Hence why everyone thinks she'll huff and she'll puff. So there's that. She's also got, like, she can make herself into a full wolf or just have wolf-like abilities. Yeah, so there's that. We also have Pacifica, who is the Queen of Hearts. Now, she's not a queen per se. What she is an assassin. She was once the daughter of a noble family who was, denounced by the king, by the king and queen of the realm. And they were stripped of their ranks and kicked out. And Pacifica, who had to, she was separated from her family, and during that time she had to learn and train to be a warrior. She had to learn and train to be a warrior, but that hate never left her body. That hate never left. So what she became was an assassin, and her main form was decapitating people, and she was eventually known as the Queen of Hearts. So yes, she's more like Deathstroke than an actual queen. She became more like Deathstroke. Then we have Robbie, who is Gaston, who is the Gaston of this continuity. Not much to say about him, because fuck Robbie. I just needed a character to play Gaston, and Robbie kind of fit the bill. Although I will say that he was a former huntsman who got kicked out for, breaking the rules one too many times. Excuse me. So then we have the Headless Horseman, who is actually Pacifica's father, who was beheaded, and it was believed that he was locked up for for getting the queen pissed off, but really she cut off his head and cursed him to live forever. Hence he became the Headless Horseman. Following that, we have not really a real member of the team, but what we do have is Bill. Bill Cipher is the Cheshire Cat, but he goes by another name as well. He is the Jabberwocky. He is the Jabberwock, and I had the idea that long ago the realm was under siege by the Jabberwock, but during a battle between Oz and the Jabberwock, one of his eyes was slashed out. So he lost most of his power and reverted to a cat because he had lost so much power. He reverted to being a cat and just kind of stood around waiting for his time to get his eye back so he could become his true form again. That was the idea for the Jabberwock. So yeah. Now, another member is Toffee, who Toffee in here has gone by many names. He's actually an immortal who, in this story, he's gone by many names. Frollo, Shan Yu, Shere Khan. But the one name that he's been hiding his name, even when he says his name's Toffee, his real name, he's actually been hiding it for so long. His real name is actually Rumpelstiltskin. That's his true name. And he made a deal with Moon, but she turned on him. So that's why he's helping out with the rebellion. Not to help them, but to help himself. Then we have Tom, who is the Beast. Tom from, of course, Star vs. the Forces of Evil. In here, Tom was was another young nobleman who, once again, was kind of like, it's kind of shitty that we're treating, we're supposed to be a kingdom of good, of justice, and we're treating some people like shit. So Moon kind of, he's like, you want to defend monsters? Then be a monster. So Tom was turned into the Beast, and now he's joined up with them because the rose that he needs to stay alive is locked up in the palace. So, yeah. And our last member is Marco, who is Captain Hook. Yeah, Marco is Captain Hook. Basically what the idea I had is that Hook, he's more, like, the design I had is that he's more like a pirate from the Spanish Main. That's the idea, and he lost his hand trying to free his parents, who were also, enemies of the state. He lost his hand trying to rescue them, but they died. He got his hand cut off, and he nearly lost his crew, and he was initially just a sailor. He wanted to just be a guy sailing around the world, but when his parents got locked up, he was like, fuck you, I'm gonna be a pirate and a plague on the seas of the kingdom. So he joins with all of them. He joins with the Wicked Ones, they're so called. And then we have Eclipsa, who I've been meaning to mention. You're probably thinking, well, you said the Wicked Witch of the West, but who is she really? Well, she's really the Glenda of this story. Turns out that Moon, in this continuity, her real name is Maleficent, and she was the one who turned on Eclipsa and took away, basically took away any chance she had of being queen, and, more or less made it look like, hey, you're the one who let the Jabberwocky attack the kingdom. So, yeah, you're the evil one, you're the wicked one, you go live out in the woods. So, that was the idea, is that Moon is the evil one, she's Maleficent, and Eclipsa's really Glenda the Good Witch. So, that was my idea. Also, another idea is that in this story is that, those who use magic have, like, magical names. Like, again, Stan, he goes by the name Ozymandias. Which is more like sorcerers, like, have more power. That way they can make their own spells, and what have you. Like, your name means more strength. So, Dipper, I eventually thought that he eventually takes on the name Merlin. Yeah, he becomes Merlin in this story. And Milo in this story is the son of Eclipsa, and he at first is the Tin Man. They find him as the Tin Man, and eventually it's revealed that he's the King Arthur of this story. He's both the Tin Man and King Arthur. So he's the one true king of the realm. But what else was there? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Randy. Randy in this story is Robin Hood. He basically was he was more like he wanted to be a huntsman, but because he was he really didn't have anything to offer for the kingdom. They were like, well, screw you, kid. You're a poor boy from a little peasant family. Fuck off. So Randy took off, and he saw how the world, the realm was treating most of its people. So he was like, yeah, I'm going to, not really be a wicked one, but I'm going to be outside fighting the forces of the realm, and, protect the peasants, be a voice for the people. So he becomes the Robin Hood of the story. He becomes this series' Robin Hood. And of course, Howard is Little John. I also had the idea that Julian becomes the Mad Hatter. That Julian is the Mad Hatter. I'm trying to remember who I had Boone for this story. I think Boone was supposed to be the troll from the Three Billy Goats Gruff, or something like that. But yeah, that was the idea. Is that it was more or less the story was going to focus on Star being captured by the Wicked Ones and eventually learning all of this history and joining alongside the Wicked Ones and joining with the Huntsmen to right the wrongs of the kingdom. So that was the idea I had. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I know this is kind of a long video and just me kind of explaining it. Maybe I'll do another video in the future going further into detail. But you guys tell me in the comments below. What did you guys think of this story? Did you guys like it? Hate it? Comment below. Let me know. And what characters would you have be different fairy tale characters? just comment below, let me know. Once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I'm out.